What's up, Sports-A-Delic? Thanks for joining me. Hit that subscribe. I'm telling you, I got the best comeback feel-good story, and you get ready to hear it now. Sportsadelics, welcome. I am Raymond, and as promised, I have an awesome comeback feel-good story for you. I want you to hit the subscribe right there. Bing, 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 bing. I want you to share, and I want you to like, and I always want to hear your comments. Thank you again to my current subscribers, and welcome my new subscribers, and thank you for subscribing. Now, as promised, I'm going to get into this story, okay? How does a 6'6", 240-pound beast running a 4.42 40-yard dash slip to the 6th round of the NFL draft? How does that happen? Drugs. That's how it happens. Darren Waller, North Cobb High School, one of our Georgia boys. That's what he was, a full-blown drug addict in the 10th grade in high school. You know, he has some strong family ties. If you're familiar with Fats Waller, the famous pianist, jazz pianist, well, that's his grandfather, okay? Great-grandfather. And so he comes from good stock. We want to believe that only kids coming from these single-parent homes are more susceptible to being hooked on drugs, right? Well, that's not the case. You know, this young man had the best of everything. Hey, great parents. You know, he had his own room, nice house. But at the end of the day, he was dealing with peer pressure and his own self-esteem. North Cobb High School would probably be considered a predominantly Caucasian high school. So the black students would always tease him about not being black enough. And so he wanted to prove his blackness. So being black is popping pills and smoking weed and drinking at the high school level. Sad, but hey, this is his story and we got to go with it, right? So he started engaging as early as the 10th grade. By his senior year, by all accounts, he was a full-blown drug addict. Still successful out there on the field, right? Still skating by, in school, with the help of friends. So he gets a football scholarship to, local Georgia Tech. And he had an outstanding collegiate career there. John Harbaugh, the head coach of the Ravens, he had this young man ranked as high as 3 on his draft board. That means he's going to be gone, if not by the 1st or 2nd pick, surely the 3rd pick. But he started hearing, leading up to the draft, that his stock was dropping all the way to the 6th round. Why? He wanted to know why. Character issue. And so as much as he thought he was hiding everything, it was kind of known, because they do the super digging. Because at the collegiate level, you don't necessarily have to go public immediately if you, fail a drug test. don't know if a lot of y'all know that, but you know, the first couple of times we can kind of keep it out of the news. But after that, so, you know, he was able to not be headline news. But when someone's getting ready to invest millions of dollars into you, possibly, they're going to go through your background. And so that character issue showed up. Darren Waller said that his big premise was to just lie, and lie. Just, hey, I'm going to lie my way through it. And John Harbaugh said, you know what? It might be something behind it. He took him at his word as a man. That was then, this is me now. All of that's behind me. And so he was drafted. But he's a drug addict. So the getting up, the regiment, the hard work, he said he wasn't feeling it. John Harbaugh talked about how he noticed that he was physically there, but you could look on his face and it's like nobody was really present. And he ended up going on injury reserve after he was drafted in 2015, later in 2015 in October. And he said that was perfectly fine with him because he was trying to do any and everything to just kind of get thrown out of there. So sadly, by 2016, he once again fails the drug test, gets suspended the first 4 games, and he's trying to kick the habit, as they say, but he was sadly unsuccessful. And so naturally, what happened, by the time 2017 rolled around, he was suspended for a year from the NFL for violation of the substance abuse policy. And his parents helped him get into McLean Boarding Cottage Drug Rehab Center. And how that happened, that's what's fascinating. Hit the subscribe, like, and share. I think I'm gonna have to light up for this. It's just amazing how he finally got into drug rehab. I have an interesting new, hey, I haven't even had this. This is the Carnival by Ezra Zion. Ezra Zion. You know, to Zion. Shout out to Lauryn Hill. To Zion. Carnival. 2017, like I said, Darren Waller was suspended from the NFL. And he was just, as he said, kind of lurking around town in his apartment, trying to decide if he was going to give up his apartment because he was done with the NFL. He said in his mind, hey, I don't need it anyway. So he drove over near the complex of the Ravens. It was their first preseason game, 2017 season. They're in the parking lot. He copped from the normal drug supplier his normal pills. That's just what I do, as he said. Only thing he remembers is 5 or 6 hours waking up and realized in that moment, this is my rock bottom, because it was later discovered when he got himself to some EMS help that it was laced with fentanyl. Now, I mean, I know it's a drug seller, but man, you got to be able to trust the drug man to some degree to not just give you something laced. But that's the danger of street drugs, right? But nevertheless, the guy laced him with fentanyl and just conveniently didn't tell him, and it almost killed him. That is how he ended up going to McLean Boarding College. That's how he got in drug rehab, because he said This is no longer about the NFL for me. This is about my life. This is about what does Darren Waller really want to do with his life. And he said the whole experience changed his life for the better. And he started working on his mental as well as his physical well-being. Started getting his body right. You know, hitting the gym, getting up, eating right. And his father talked about how he noticed, you know what, this is new, this is different. I see some real work ethic here, like focus. He said for the first time when he looked in his son's eyes, he seen his son. And his mother, you know how mothers are, you know. It's like, oh, my baby's back. My baby back. And Lord and behold, John Hubbard picks up the phone and call him. We want you to, you know, be a Raven. But the problem was the Raiders made that phone call first. John was too late, right? Too little, too late. And so he goes into the Raiders camp and he burns it up. And he's been burning it up ever since. Let me share some stats with you. Right now to date, 239 catches, 2,793 yards, 16 touchdowns. Now that puts him in the company of, you know, your Kittles, your Ertzes, and, you know, the main man, Kelsey, you know, the top tight ends in the game. Might even be, like these tight ends nowadays, they might actually be some of the best players in the game, right? And he talked about, for the first time, what it felt like to be out there on the field, you know, drug-free. Isn't that an awesome feel-good story? You know what? I'm going to drink to that. But I do want to share some important, critical information that I hope will be educational that you can share if you have your own kids, your nieces, your nephews. I was, in fact, a mental health professional, and this stuff is real. I work with, you know, young people. I was used to seeing high school athletes go down this drug path, and it turns into criminal behavior. Just some quick things that you want to look for. Because a lot of times, just because a kid is not interested in his schoolwork doesn't necessarily mean he's on drugs. So it's a combination of behavior and some psychological things to look for. Behavior says, you know, he may isolate himself. He or she may isolate themselves, or they may be, you know, start complaining a lot, you know, complaining about their friends, complaining about you, complaining about the coaches. Those are typical early signs of drug use, particularly, you know, in teenagers. Now, at the psychological level, you're probably gonna start seeing that, you know, irritability, mood swings, their eyes may be bloodshot, just really flagrant change. I'm talking about night and day. Like when you hear a parent say, I don't know who my child is, that type of change, okay? So pay attention to all of that happening at the same time, okay? Just pay attention to your child, and you can't make someone get the help that they need. But I do think it matters if you at least get to them early enough, right? Now, for those of you that really like and appreciate a feel-good story, please subscribe I want to hear your comments, and definitely share and enjoy, your Friday. Now, let me share something else. I want to give you the heads up. I'm going to do a quick preview, my next video, because the Giants and the Cowgirls are playing. And I don't know why there's this build up all of a sudden. Like, this is the game where Dak Prescott, severely injured, his ankle. But now it's this build up like he was targeted and it was intentional, and Dak's gonna have a chip on his shoulder and all of this stuff leading up to the game. So I'm definitely gonna hit you with a preview, about that. Again, thank you, and be sure to tune in.